Welcome to this explainer. Okay, so today we're unpacking a pretty fascinating reality about early childhood development. Your physical classroom? It's not just a backdrop, it's an active, totally dynamic participant. We're going to dive straight into exactly why interest centers boost growth and how you can transform everyday setups into, well, literal engines for learning. To kick things off, consider this really profound idea from Loris Malaguzzi. He's the founder of the Reggio Emilia approach. He envisioned the environment as an aquarium. Think about that for a second. A living, breathing ecosystem that actually reflects the lives of the people inside it, rather than just, a passive room where learning just happens to take place. And this brings us right to the core Reggio Emilia concept of the third teacher. See, we usually think of adults and peers as the primary educators, right? But this philosophy elevates the physical space itself to that exact same level. It means the space actually listens, responds, and invites a child to explore. The room itself is literally guiding the child's development. So, here's our roadmap for today. We're going to look at the space as a teacher, identify zones that spark exploration, detail how these centers drive growth, look at fostering social and emotional skills, and finally, wrap up with strategies for smooth transitions. Let's get into it. Starting with Section 1, the space as a teacher. Let's look at the actual architecture of a highly effective classroom. Now, if you look at this structured multi-zone space, you'll notice it's designed very specifically for free movement and safety. The architecture here isn't just thrown together randomly. It's a carefully plotted micro-city, really. It allows kids to move fluidly from one area of curiosity to the next, without bumping into each other or feeling constrained in any way. And we know from the research that a room without a specific purposeful flow can actually cause real behavioral friction. I mean, when kids don't know where to go or how to use a space, confusion naturally sets in. But when it's thoughtfully structured with clear boundaries, it empowers them to navigate based on their own curiosity. And honestly, this is a massive boost to their independence and self-esteem. So, which zones should we actually be building in this microcity? That brings us to Section 2, zones that spark exploration. Take a look at these essential learning corners. You've got everything from art and dramatic play to building and science. This is basically your blueprint for a fully functioning ecosystem. And the best part? You can create these with low-cost or recycled materials. You absolutely do not need a massive budget. You just need to make sure each corner serves a highly specific developmental purpose to really boost that growth. Notice the stark contrast here between these setups. A static room kind of just confines kids, right? It dictates exactly what they should do and when. Fluid environments, on the other hand, invite new hypotheses and connections. For example, if you place a simple mirror underneath a pile of pine cones in a discovery center, you aren't telling the child what to learn. Instead, you're inviting them to explore symmetry, reflection, and nature completely on their own terms. Moving right along to Section 3, how centers drive growth. Let's explicitly map out exactly why these specific setups trigger major developmental milestones. Breaking down these core areas really reveals that targeted growth, like a simple grocery store role play in the dramatic play center, that actively builds social empathy and negotiation skills as kids figure out, who gets to be the cashier today. Block play lays the foundation for math and physics. And even gathering for circle time isn't just about sitting still, it's a super targeted exercise in developing critical language skills and expanding those ever-important attention spans. Let's zoom in on a true classic staple for a second, the building block. We're going to look at a mini narrative of play in action here. It might look like just a simple toy, but it's actually a highly sophisticated developmental tool. Think about it. When a child builds a tower and tests its balance, they aren't just playing around. They're actively learning spatial awareness. They're testing the literal laws of gravity and estimating weight and symmetry. Plus, when that tower inevitably comes crashing down and they choose to rebuild it, they're building the self-esteem to take independent risks and develop genuine resilience. It's a game changer. And, we cannot forget circle time. It is absolutely a designated interest center. But to really boost growth, it has to be an interactive space with props, flannel boards, and movement. As any educator or parent knows all too well, you simply can't expect kids to sit completely still right after a busy morning commute, right? Engaging them physically during circle time is exactly how you capture their cognitive attention. That brings us to Section 4, fostering social and emotional skills. Let's explore how the environment acts as a social incubator.
Take a look at the full emotional spectrum a child experiences across these spaces. On one hand, dramatic play allows children to cooperatively act out fears, maybe pretending to be a doctor to process a scary hospital visit they just had. On the flip side, the calm corner offers a quiet retreat, maybe with a soft rug and a stress ball, to help them self-regulate when emotions simply become, well, way too overwhelming. Both of these zones are absolutely vital for emotional maturity.
Now, we really have to talk about what happens when this environment breaks down. Keeping kids engaged with the right materials is critical. The data clearly shows that a lack of structured engagement or, using materials that are way too advanced or too simple often leads to deep frustration. And that frustration frequently manifests as disruptive behavior, aggression, and ultimately peer rejection. The environment literally has to meet them exactly where they are. But a beautifully designed environment is totally useless if it descends into chaos the second you move between activities. Which leads us to our final stop, Section 5, Strategies for Smooth Transitions. To move seamlessly from high-energy zones to calmer ones, try following educator Trevor Muir's protocol. It goes like this. First, use a recognizable signal, like flipping on a colored lamp. Second, use a visual or audio timer so the shift is never a surprise. Third, incorporate a brief physical movement to literally reset the body, like a quick stretch. And fourth, have a quick discussion, like a think, pair, share, to shift their mental focus. It totally resets the room, inside and out. I absolutely love this quote because it shifts the entire perspective on classroom rules. Setting firm boundaries early on doesn't restrict kids. Actually, scratch that. It does the exact opposite. It creates a safe, predictable structure. And within that safety, you, as the educator or parent, have the freedom to grant them way more access to dynamic, energetic, and highly engaging activities. Basically, structure enables freedom. I want to leave you with a bit of a provocative question to help evaluate your own spaces, whether that's a formal classroom or just a designated learning corner at home. Look around the room, because the space itself is a teacher and it is always communicating. So what is yours teaching when you are silent? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. I really hope you leave here inspired to intentionally craft spaces that actively boost growth.